mission. And although it didn't do all the things that we did in the past or in the future, uh, it was really the one that we set our goals at.
Jim Lovell Jr., one of NASA's most celebrated astronauts and the mission commander who helped steer the ill-fated Apollo 13 safely back to Earth, has died at the age of 97. NASA Administrator Sean Duffy confirmed Lovell's death in a statement on Friday, noting that he passed away peacefully at his home in Lake Forest, Illinois. Jim's character and steadfast courage helped our nation reach the moon and turned a potential tragedy into a success, Duffy said. From a pair of pioneering Gemini missions to the successes of Apollo, Jim helped our nation forge a historic path in space that carries us forward to upcoming Artemis missions to the moon and beyond. From naval aviator to NASA pioneer burn. March 25, 1928, in Cleveland, Ohio, Lovell's fascination with flight began early. After graduating from the U.S. Naval Academy in 1952, he served as a naval aviator and test pilot, honing the skills that would later serve him in the high-stakes environment of SPACEFLIGHT. In 1962, he was selected as part of NASA's second group of astronauts, an elite cadre often referred to as the New Nine. This marked the beginning of a career that would see Lovell participate in four space missions, spending a total of 29 days in space. Apollo 8, humanity's first trip to the moon. Lovell first etched his name into space history as the command module pilot for Apollo 8 in December 1968, the first mission to carry humans beyond Earth's gravitational pull and into lunar orbit, alongside mission commander Frank Borman II and lunar module pilot William Anders. Lovell helped guide the spacecraft on a 6-day mission that included 10 orbits around the moon before safely returning home. Apollo 8's crew became the first humans to witness an Earthrise, the now iconic view of our blue planet rising above the moon's horizon, capturing a photograph that would become one of the most famous images in history. Lovell was the last surviving member of that pioneering crew. Apollo 13. Failure is not an option. While Apollo 8 made Lovell a pioneer, Apollo 13 made him a legend. Launched in April 1970, Apollo 13 was intended to be the third mission to land humans on the moon. But 2 days into the mission, an oxygen tank exploded, crippling the spacecraft and forcing Lovell and his crewmates Fred Hayes and Jack Swiggerton to a desperate fight for survival. With limited power, dwindling oxygen, and the cold of deep space pressing in, Lovell's leadership was instrumental in executing an improvised return plan. Using the lunar module as a lifeboat, the crew looped around the moon and navigated back to Earth in a harrowing 4-day journey. The mission was immortalized in the 1995 film Apollo 13, with actor Tom Hanks portraying Lovell. The line "Houston, we've had a problem" became shorthand for crisis management and calm under pressure. Lovell later described the experience not as a failure, but as a successful failure, a mission that didn't achieve its original goal, but which demonstrated ingenuity, teamwork, and the resilience of the human spirit. A career of firsts before his Apollo flights, Lovell had already made his mark in space during NASA's Gemini program. Gemini 7, 1965, Lovell and Frank Borman spent 14 days in orbit, the longest human spaceflight at the time, and completed the first space rendezvous with Gemini 6A. Gemini 12, 1966, Lovell and Buzz Aldrin perfected techniques for spacewalking, solving the challenge that had plagued earlier missions and paving the way for Apollo's lunar Avis. By the time he retired from NASA and the U.S. Navy in 1973, Lovell had flown in space 4 times, more than any astronaut of his era. Life after. May following his retirement, Lovell entered the business world, working in the telecommunications and beverage industries while remaining an active advocate for space exploration. He co-authored the memoir Lost Moon with journalist Jeffrey Kluger, which served as the basis for Ron Howard's film Apollo 13. Lovell also became a sought-after public speaker, inspiring audiences with stories of teamwork, leadership, and perseverance. In 1999, he opened Lovell's of Lake Forest, a restaurant that featured space memorabilia from his career, many of which were later auctioned for charity, awards, and honors over the course of his life. Lovell received numerous awards, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom 1970, NASA Distinguished Service Medal twice, Congressional Space Medal of Honor 1995, induction into the U.S. Astronaut Hall of Fame 1993. He also held honorary doctorates from several universities and remained a beloved figure in both the scientific and public communities. Family and legacy. Jim Lovell is survived by his wife, Marilyn, with whom he shared more than 70 years of marriage, their 4 children, Barbara, James, Susan, and Jeffrey, and multiple grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Though he never set foot on the moon, Lovell's contributions to space exploration were immeasurable. His legacy lives on not only in NASA's history books, but also in the culture of problem-solving, resilience, and courage that defines human spaceflight. Jim Lovell showed us what grace under pressure truly looks like, said one former NASA colleague. He taught us that even in the darkest hours, there's a way home.